Hello, everybody. Welcome back, or I guess welcome to my. I think this is my first book review on the channel. I know my TikTok, I do a couple book. This is one that I actually put a lot of time, effort into, decided to talk about because I really enjoy these books, and without really, you know, leading you guys around or just kind of leading you on, I'm gonna jump right on into it. So, I like Star Wars. I like the movies. I like the video games. I'm not too well versed in the extended universe, but the first books that I've read in the extended universe were I believe it was the Mandalorian Armor Wars or the Mandalorian Wars. I think it was Mandalorian Armor Wars. Essentially, a side story with Boba Fett, and it's a trilogy of him going through things after the Sarlacc pit. And it was actually really cool. I very much enjoyed it, so much so that I rebought the books because I didn't treat the first three that my father gave me in the best shape. They were all kind of ripped up, messed up, and I did donate them. And I was like, I can either donate them or throw them. And I think I donated them, even though they were in bad shape. So if they ended up throwing them, hey, more kudos to them because they were in bad shape, and that's my fault, no one else's. Well, with all that being said, the reason I brought that up is because the High Republic came out, I think, in 2020, 2021, around there, or at least 2019 to 2020. And essentially, what it is it's a bunch of stories that come before the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I think it's 250 years before. Pretty sure it's where it is. But in this series, you get to see a lot of things that are different. And what I mean by that is like the Force. There are things in here, and this doesn't spoil anything story wise or anything like that, because from my understanding, they explain this in the other books. So they explain that in the High Republic, the Force and Jedi are somewhat stronger than they are in the movies, or at least that's my perception of it, because there are Jedi in the stories that are like referred to as being natural born levitators, and I thought that was interesting because we really don't see a lot of like levitation in the movies. Some of the series, like the animated series, you might see some of that, but it's not as frequent as they make it sound within the High Republic. Another one is like being able to block uh, lightsabers with your bare hand or just your body using the force, enveloping your body with the force. And it's just overall, I very much enjoyed it. So far, I think I have yet to be disappointed with anything from the High Republic. I very much enjoyed every single thing that I've read so far, and I've gotten a lot more books I gotta read because, excuse me, I haven't read the comics. I don't read the um, kids' books. I read the young adult to adult books that they have coming out, and I don't know if that's going to make it so it's hard for me to understand certain things that happen in other books because I do know that there are characters in these books that I read that appear in comics, that appear in kids' books, stuff like that. And I assume it might just be like another story because there's like an overall theme with all these books, and that is the Nihil. And that's how I say it is Nihil. It might be Nihil. It's Nihil. Essentially, what they are is a band of just how do I really explain them? They're like marauders. They're just a bunch of random species from around the galaxy come together. That the way they work is they just put a bunch of random trash together and make it run. Is essentially how they explain it. There's a description in the first book I'll get into here shortly where they explain that one of their ships should not be running because it doesn't have your everyday conventional engine. Well, they put a bunch of scrap together with a bunch of different gears, a bunch of different like parts from weapons, vehicles. What else is there? I think they said like convenient like machines, like not necessarily an ATM, but like I think they call it something else. It's like a credit deposit or something. Basically, an ATM they took apart and made into an engine to make it like a big ship, hold like hundreds of them and fly from planet to planet. It's insane. But all that being said, once again, said that twice, but that's okay. I like getting distracted. I like talking about books. I like getting, just kind of like a basis out there so you guys can understand what I'm talking about, what I'm getting into. If there's any questions, hopefully I answer a lot of them. So, first book, I this is what I don't know how I remember seeing this or why this caught my eye so much. I think it was just like the description of it from when I saw it online. It is Star Wars: The High Republic, Into the Dark. This is part one of a trilogy, which I don't actually remember what the name of the trilogy is. I don't know why I'm looking over here if you're right here. I don't remember what the name of the trilogy is, but it is what I guess the Shadow Trilogy is what I call it because a lot of it kind of deals with light, dark, like the titles with that. And in this one, part one, you get to meet Reef Silas. Now, Reef is a Padawan who is very much like, he doesn't like combat. He doesn't like moving around. He doesn't like basically being out on the battlefield. He likes reading and knowing things about the Jedi. Everything has to do with the Jedi, even some stuff that doesn't do with the Jedi. Basically, he's more of a bookworm than he is a street kid. And you get to see in this part that kind of come into like play a lot, and it actually helps him but hinders him at the same time, because if you're stuck in the library reading all the time, you're missing out on a lot of lightsaber combat like practice, missing out on like deflecting bullets or deflecting laser shots, determining whether or not someone has malice towards you. And obviously he is a Padawan, a Jedi Padawan, so he does have the instincts of, he can sometimes sense when someone's like off or if someone's trying to do something else. But it's obviously not going to be as strong as some other Padawans who have taken the time to actually sit there, concentrate, meditate, and feel the instincts of someone, feel the aggression of somebody who like can be sitting here smiling like me, but you can feel the intent behind the mask that they put up. And it's a really cool concept to me seeing that, because we have seen that a lot in the movies and the series, but it's cool seeing like someone different with it. And it's a breath of fresh air, is what I was about to say. It's a breath of fresh air to me, seeing someone who like is very open and descriptive about what they're going through, because a lot of the times Jedi, from how I know them, and I might be incorrect about this statement, so please correct me if you are a Star Wars fan and you know more about me, because like I said, there are some things that I have yet to see, so I might be just missing out on that information. But Jedi are very good at detaching themselves from feeling. Like, they understand emotion, but they don't allow themselves to be overtaken by emotion, no matter if it's just joy, sorrow, anger. They are basically like, for lack of a better word, unless this is the wrong word, stagnant. Is that the word I'm looking for? Or at least consistent, I guess. They're consistent with being not emotionless, but like, how do I explain it? Because they show emotion here and there. Like, they know that's normal, but they're good at keeping their mind clear. They're good at keeping their concentration on one thing, as to having their mind race, having their mind go from one thing to another, breaking the concentration so the force is like not as strong, or the force is broken between them and whatever they're trying to achieve. And in this, what I really like is they give a new enemy that I think that's what got me into it, was when I read the description of what the enemy is so essentially, imagine, from what they like described to me, and I had to Google it because I was like, is this what I'm imagining it? Imagine somebody in a ghillie suit, covered like, head to toe in a ghillie suit. They look like they're covered in brush or like, sticks, leaves, whatever, but bigger. Like, if you've ever seen Sesame Street, Snuffleupagus, the big elephant, imagine that without the tusks and the trunk. It's like a big lump of what looks like grass and trees, and just basically looks like living plants. And the description that I got when I first saw the book was supposed to come out, I believe, that June, or it came out in the summer. The description was that the Jedi are going to go against a newfound enemy that is so deadly that the ancient Sith had to seal them away. And it kind of took me by surprise. I'm like, wait, what? And because the way they refer to the ancient Sith is, I believe, 500 years and further. So this is when they describe the Sith to be like in multiple. So instead of being the rule of two, where there's only two Sith at a time, there was like a lot. And they refer to them here and there about the ancient Sith. They don't get too deep into it. Like, what I mean by not too deep, it's literally that. Like, they just kind of give you a quick description. And I think they only bring it up maybe 2 more times, but the 2 times they bring it up isn't very, like I said, descriptive. It's literally just them saying like, oh, the ancient Sith did this. Oh, the ancient Sith did that. And then that's it. You get a description and then 2 more like references to the ancient Sith. And it was really, really cool and like grasping my attention, because not only is there the main villain, but you have like a side villain that is the overall villain of the trilogy. And that is what I said is like the Nihil, however you pronounce it. In the High Republic, they're the big bads. Like I said, they're a bunch of just random aliens or random people from different species, different planets that came together, and they are very distinct when they're attacking, so you know when it's them because they leave behind like landmarks, they leave behind gas, they have like their own trademark sounds, phrases, things that they do. But in this, like I said, the main villain or quote unquote villain is going to be what is called the Drengir. The Drengir are these ancient beings that were so strong at what they did. And what they did was they can eat you or eat the force and end up killing you through that. What I mean by that is we get a glimpse of this when Wreath and his master Jorah are talking to each other, and Jorah tells him to like, "Hey, I'm gonna have you go with Master Comac. Master Comac has a mission for you." So when Master Comac and Silas Wreath, when Wreath go on this mission together, they go through hyperspace, and they have, I believe her name is Iffy. They have Leon, Iffy, and Geode. These three run like a shipping company. They have a ship. Geode is literally a giant sentient rock, and he is by far my favorite character within the first part because you don't. He's just a rock. Like he literally is described as a rock. Has no face, has no emotions, no muscles. He is a solid rock. That apparently Leon, the like, what is it? He is the pilot of that ship that they're on. I think it's the Razorback, I believe is what it's called. Leon, or is it Gion? I forget his name, but like the captain of that ship apparently can understand him when no one else can. And there's a lot of instances of when Geo just appears places at the right time, at the right moment to save people or figure out a plan. Or I think there's a scene where they're all talking around like a table with holograms popping up, and Geode apparently threw something on the table, and they're all like, "Oh wow, Geode, that's amazing! I can't believe you thought of that." Just nothing. Like Geode just sits there saying nothing. Like I'm convinced he's a rock, but it's like a rock imbued with the Force from the way that Geode moves around and the way that people refer to him talking or doing things. But yes, the Drengir, getting back on the topic, the Drengir can sense you, attack you, and almost kill you through the Force. And what I mean by that is when Comac, Silas, Iffy, and all of them are on the ship and they're going through hyperspace, they find that there's a lot of these incidents occurring where there is wreckage in hyperspace. So while they're trying to like go to where they need to be, the light speed kicks in, and you see a bunch of wreckage within the light speed jump that they're doing. So they have to make an emergency exit, jump out of light, like their light speed jump, and they come across I think it's the Axe Mine Station, I believe is what the name of it was. It was an abandoned station that was kind of like almost like a beacon or like a travel point that you could stop by, fuel up, whatever. And when they go in there, they immediately say that there's like a creepy feeling about it. Like it's kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So what they do is, they split up, whatever. And I believe it is Comac first. Master Comac tries to kind of like sense if there's anyone on here. Because, obviously being the Jedi Master, he is pretty well versed with the Force. And while he was in there, he says that he like saw something in the Force. Like usually when Jedi can close their eyes and focus. He described as soon as he closed his eyes, he started feeling like something was attacking him. And Wreath tries helping him by communicating or trying to feel out where everyone else is. He closes his eyes and he almost passes out because he described there's this entity that was following him. Like he explained it, the Force is almost like a bridge or a breeze. And this thing was on the breeze, but he wasn't following it. He was going against it, eating it, getting closer and closer to him to the point where he and Master Comac essentially say like, hey, if we try doing that again, we're going to die. Like it puts so much strain on their mind and their spirit that this thing is getting closer and closer to the point where they describe it as, if we try doing it again, it's right here. It's going to get us. And, they go around, they look at things, they're like, hey, let's try to find some stuff. And I believe as Master Comac, he finds a statue that is imbued with the dark side of the Force. It's so bad to the point where like when he touches it, he says he just is filled with like malice or like doubt. He is anger, like he's filled with all this negativity. And he notices that there's multiple statues. And he describes usually the ancient Sith would leave these to kind of give a sign that like this is where their hideout was, or this is where they did things of worship. And the way that they had all the statues facing as like a circle instead of facing made him believe, oh, maybe they're doing like rituals within the circle because they're imbuing these statues and those statues are facing forward. So he's like, oh, they're probably doing rituals. So they get a way to have those statues picked up, moved out of the way, and they put them on the ship with Iffy, Leon, and Geo. They get that stuff moved out of the way, whatever. And I do believe because they're not force sensitive, they didn't feel that much. I think they did make a remark about Geode not liking them. So maybe, like I said, maybe my theory about Geode having the force imbued into a rock is his thing. But apparently that's his whole race is rock people. And when I mean rock people, he doesn't look like the Thing from Fantastic Four. He's literally just a smooth rock, like a smooth boulder. But moving along, Master Comac then gets everyone back. And I do know that there is another, I think he's a Jedi Knight is with them, and I can't remember his name. While I'm looking for it, there is an individual, Affy, not Iffy, my bad. Her name is Affy, is the other person. Leo, Leox, Leo Josai. Then you have Affy, and then I cannot remember what your name is because you're only in this. Okay, so there's him. Is it Des Ryan? Is your name? Because this character is only in this book for good reason because they're like the thing I noticed about this series is the main characters, they're in every book obviously, but they become side characters relatively quickly within their own series, which I thought was weird, but I like the way they do it. It is, I know it's Des something, pretty sure it's, anyways, but Des is this person that is like very good at what he, I know Reith looks up to him because Des is not only smart and like knows a lot of things. Obviously, not to the extent of Reith because Reith all he does is read. All he does is look at ancient scrolls, text, whatever. But he does look up to Des because Des is that good balance of both combat and knowledge. So he doesn't just do one or the other. Guy that's like good at what he. Oh my god. Dora. I'm pretty sure this guy is a knight. Why are you? Oh yeah, his name is Des. Pretty sure it's Des. Anyways, Des is also there with him, and the reason I bring him up now instead of before is because before he was just kind of there, and Des was the apprentice Jorah. I think it's Jorah Malani or Jorah. I can't remember her last name, but Master Jorah, which is Reith's master. It was Jorah. Then Jorah, she took on Des, and then when Des became a knight, Jorah took on another Padawan, which was Reith. And like I said, Des was just kind of there to kind of like get more experience and help Reith on the mission. But while he's there, he also starts acting different, feeling different, and to the point where like he explains that what he is feeling is almost like a shadow swallowing his not his light, but just himself in general. Like even though he has the light with him, the shadow is encompassing him to the point where even if he were to make the light brighter, it wouldn't cut through the shadow that has completely engulfed him. But anyways, as we go along, we find out that like there's other ships that were on this station, but some of them don't look like they were docking in. They almost all of them look like they were trying to leave, but they couldn't. And that's what starts throwing people off. And then we find out that Affy actually finds out about her parents, and her parents were, I do believe they were work slaves, because they do describe it as they were escaping people who were holding them against their will, forcing them to do things. And she finds this out by there's like random etchings on these metal walls, and this is after they grab the statues, everything like that. And she reads it and she's like, why do I remember this so well? Like, why do I remember these words? Why does this resonate with me? And she sees a symbol on the bottom. And that symbol is the symbol of the guild that I believe it's her adoptive mother. It's not her actual mom. It's her adoptive mother has. Because I do believe the writing said, beware of this guild, that symbol. And that's who she's been working for, right? So this is what I mean by the side characters become the main characters, and the main characters become the side characters. They like that because even though a lot of these characters are only in one book, it really gives a lot of good character development, gives a lot of um, insight to their mindset, and it doesn't just play on it a little bit. Like, it actually gives you a really in-depth rundown of why they said certain things, certain parts, why they're acting differently now, or how this is changing them mentally, physically, spiritually. It's really cool. Like with Dez, like I said, he explained it mentally, physically, and emotionally, how he was feeling being on that station. Long story short, once they get off the station, heading back to Coruscant, I think they're halfway there, I believe is what was described, when Master Comac has like an inkling. He's like, I noticed as soon as we put these statues on here, the feeling didn't go away. Like that dreadful feeling that they had should be gone off the station. But he said that he still felt something, like something was there, and he's like, oh, maybe he just kind of brushed it off as, oh, maybe that's just some leftover like dark dark side like sitting there before it like dissipates, because there's nothing anchoring it down because of the statues being taken. Well, when he gets to Coruscant, I kind of forget what happens. I wonder if I think it's Reeth. Reeth might be the one who's just reading again, and he noticed, oh, hey, there's texts here about these statues, like statues that look like this. And this is when he finds out that the entirety of these statues is not what he believes them to be. And Master Comac is the first to know about this, because Reeth freaks out or like starts panicking and runs to him, basically saying like, hey, I wouldn't say panicking. I'd say like he was more concerned. But he goes to Master Comac, who I believe is in the library, like the archives with him, and tells him, you need to read this to make sure I'm understanding what it's saying. Comac realized that these statues were not used for rituals at all. They were used to keep something trapped. And that's when they're like, I wonder if that's the thing that was attacking us. It wasn't the statues. It was whatever the statues were staring at. So make a trip all the way back. You know, they use the hyperspace lanes, and the hyperspace lanes, you know, still have wreckage on them. They're still trying to figure out why that's a thing. And when they get there, they meet these people who are super nice. I believe her name is Pon, whatever her name was. Reeth sees her as like a very pretty girl, you know, and kind of gets a crush on her because she's really nice, whatever. And then she gets to meet, or he gets to meet her dad or her grandfather, and, you know, meet other parts of her family. And same thing happened to them. There's wreckage on the hyperspace lanes, right? And as they're going through this, they start noticing people are going missing. People are disappearing. And Dez so happens to be one of them that just up and vanishes. And the thing about it is, usually when someone with the Force is taken or is hurt or is, like, you know, killed off in any way, if depending on how strong your connection is with them, you can feel it. And since Reeth and Dez have the same master, they spent a lot of time together, getting like a connection together, and the Force, that bond was getting stronger. Well, Reeth didn't sense any malice. Reeth didn't sense any pain. Reeth didn't sense anything. He just noticed Dez was gone. While he's looking for him, he finds out that the girl he met, Pam, whatever her name was, that's where the P in that, her and her grandfather and the rest of her family are actually part of the Nihil or the Nihil, and start attacking them, right? And they're trying to get rid of the Jedi because they believe the Jedi are essentially just like poison to the world, like Force users are bad, and just this, that, and the third. They're just basically there to destroy everything because they hate everything. And as they attack, the Drengir are now awake because they've been sleeping and been held in what's like a stasis, because there were such evil entities, such bad, destructive things that the ancient Sith had to imbue these statues to look at them and force them to be stay place. And they describe it as stasis more than sleep, because the Drengir were awake. And we find out that some of them can talk. And I do say some because some of them, they all have the ability to speak, but some of them have just been trapped there for so long that they just kind of forgot until the other people around them started speaking. So they started saying words, learning words, and speaking. And the thing that I thought was really cool about these guys, besides them being able to eat the Force, was the way that their regeneration was described by Master Comac. Master Comac described it as he was slashing through the flesh of one, he was noticing that their tendrils were attaching to the lightsaber. Not as if trying to grab it or stop it, but because it was regenerating so fast that it was touching the lightsaber, trying to regenerate as he was cutting through it. So he said he cut straight through it, but it healed faster than he cut through it. And I was like, that's scary. But while this is going on, I do believe it is Reeth who finds an escape ship. one of the he goes back to like the ports and notices one of the ships is missing. So he gets in there, and while he's in there, he gets rocketed up, he gets beat up, and then because there's a Drengir in there, I believe, and I do think that Drengir specifically on that ship that he's in hits him into an escape pod and sends him flying. So we think he's gone forever. He's going off to a distant planet, right? Well, when he wakes up, he's on a planet with a bunch of Drengir, and I do believe it is their home planet. And while he's there, they have this ability with their tendrils to hit you. And when they hit you, your tendrils are in different places, and these tendrils will hit you, and it secretes like I guess a poison or what's the word? A sedative that kind of makes you both tired but very aggressive. And the way that it's described is Reath is like, I feel so tired that I can't move. But when he looks up and sees Dez is beat up. He doesn't know where he is. His mind is pretty messed up because he's pretty sure he has a concussion. So when he gets hit with the tendril and gets that like poison or sedative put into him, he starts fighting Reath, thinking Reath is an enemy. And Reath has to battle not only a friend of his, but battle against his intentions to harm him, because the sedative is making him more and more aggressive the longer the fight goes, the more his blood pumps, the more he's just moving about. Then we cut back. Affy, Geode, and Leo or Leox are fighting. They're trying to figure out, like, okay, what are these guys here for? What's going on? And all this is happening. Everything's going crazy. She finds out, like, oh, her adoptive mom has some secrets that she's not telling her, but we don't know if that means because she's a bad person or if she was protecting her parents, or if she's like undercover. And long story short, there's so much stuff that happens within the last couple chapters that really encapsulates and captured me as a person. And overall, the story and the finale of it was really cool. So if you don't want to hear what happens at the end, I'll put my hand up like this, and when you see me put my hand down, you can go and cut to that part. So in the end, we find out that there's only one way to stop these guys. Only way to stop them is through a solar flare, and there is a sun that is coming to them that is essentially shooting out solar flares. They have to make it out of there before that solar flare hits, because it's going to melt away every living thing in it. Now, they all get off. The Nihil run away because that's what they're known for. They're known for attacking, leaving. They're very cowardly in that. All the characters get on. Reath, Dez, because Reath does save Dez. He does come back, and his story is pretty funny because he has even less time as everyone else. So he gets back on, runs this ship. Cohmac gets to this ship. Then we have Affy, Leo, and then also Orla, which is Cohmac's friend, who's a Wayseeker, which a Wayseeker is a gray Jedi, but I just like the new name Wayseeker, where they don't follow the Republic, they just follow the Force. I really like that name. And then you get everyone back on, Affy, Leo, Geode, everyone's on there, right? They take out, and we see that the Drengir are weak to solar flares. You have to disintegrate every piece of them at the same time, essentially. And they get all disintegrated. Everything on that station gets disintegrated if it's a living thing. And now we find out the Nihil are the reasons behind the wreckage in the hyperspace lanes because of the fight that Reath had with Pan or Pam or whatever her name was. But yeah, long story short, they're in for a whole new adventure because now the Nihil are bigger and badder than they ever were, knowing that they get that far and they're capable of doing that by causing wrecks within the hyperspace lanes and changing the direction of the hyperspace lanes is insane. But moving right along into book number 2, that first part took me about 30 minutes because I really like making sure to describe everything and anything I can. Now, we're going to talk about book number 2, which is Out of the Shadows. Now, book number 2, I very much enjoyed it because this one actually is the main focus is the Nihil or Nihil again. But we actually find out in this that they actually are trying to capture the Drengir and use them as weapons against the Jedi, which is insane. And if I'm not mistaken, I know I should have been more prepared for this, but I'm just so excited to talk about it. But in this one, once again, Reath comes in, and we find out in the first book, once again, I'm going to put my hand up and say some spoilers. First book, once I put my hand down, or you see me put my hand down again, you can go ahead and play it. So we find out in the first book that Originally, Wreath was supposed to go to Starlight Beacon, but because of the junk in the stuff that was in the hyperspace lanes, they had to make an emergency stop, like I said. And we find out that his master and Dez's master, Jorah, was killed in action. So Master Comac took Wreath on apprentice or his Padawan. Good. Now we're okay. The next, in part 2 here, which I do believe takes, I think it's a year after those events, because they describe it as like some time has passed and a lot of other things have happened. But we are here with Vernestra Rwoh and Wreath. So we got Wreath, Vernestra Rwoh, and Sly or Sylvestri. Now, Sylvestri, she essentially has like her entire history is just thrown around and not overall fun because she is in charge, I believe, of like a cargo business, I believe is what it was. And all of her stuff is run down. She barely has any money. Her ship was stolen by the Nihil. Everything's going to just nowhere. Like, it's just going terrible for her, right? And in this book, we get to see the Nihil actually like start attacking more people instead of just random bouts here and there. They start attempting to slightly move more in because they're on the outer edge of the galaxy, but they're slowly moving in towards like planets that are on the inside of that edge, right? And the Republic and Jedi are trying to find ways to stop them or detect them, but we're finding out that the Nihil have these capabilities and powers of being able to take things out of hyperspace. So before, they were able to put wreckage into hyperspace to make you jump out or make emergency landings. Well, not every ship is massive. Not every ship that can jump is super like inagile. Some of them are agile enough to go through the wreckage. So what they do is they make a device called, I think it was like a gravity well. And essentially what it does is it pulls people straight out of hyperspace. So you can be going, hey, I'm going to go this direction. No, we're going to pull you out this way because the gravity's pulling you out to here. And now your ship is completely nullified. It's completely messed up because it's not where it's supposed to be. It needs to cool down. This is how the Nihil attack. Take your ship, take your parts for the ship, take everything from you, kill you off, stuff like that. And in this one, Sylvestri's mother is presumed dead. And that's a big driving force for her because she got a message from her mom that essentially I love you. I want you to live. I want you to do this. And that got her scared because she's like, my mom was a smart person. So I don't know why she got herself in a situation like this. And, overall was freaked out. Didn't know. And Vernestra Rwoh, Vernestra Rwoh is a Jedi Knight because she has her own Padawan. I forgot. Her Padawan, his name is Imri, who Imri is a type of alien. I forgot what species of alien he is. That is known for being able to detect feelings. This is a good part in me explaining how the High Republic really does a good explanation of saying certain species are really good at certain things. Imri is really good at sensing intention, sensing lies, sensing truth. He is basically a human lie detector, which is really, really cool throughout this book because there's a lot of instances where he calls people out. And it's not like he's being mean about it. So, for example, him and Wreath, they just basically survived an attack by the Nihil. And Wreath is talking to Imri. And Imri immediately goes, so are you going to tell me about why you're so, like, choked up on fighting? Wreath's like, what? How do you know that? He's like, I just have this feeling that you're just lying to me. Or not lying, but, like, you're holding something back from me because you're trying not to scare me. Imri's like, I'm not scared of fighting. I know that's how it has to come. But you're scared of fighting because you're scared that you won't get to have time to read anymore, time to be alone anymore. And in this book, he really gets to deal with like the greed of it all, being greedy with not only himself but with the people around him. Because Wreath wanted a lot of stuff for himself. He wanted a lot of things to go right for him. Right. So this is where he really gets to experience dealing with greed. Because he didn't realize that he was doing that a lot of his actions weren't for the betterment of people, but were just so he can get home, so he can go relax, so he can get this. And it really struggles with him because throughout the book, we see that he is doing a lot of stuff for the betterment of people, but he didn't know that in his mind, he was subconsciously making these decisions, not just because they're good, but because they get him home quicker. They make him stop doing things quicker that he doesn't like. But overall, we get to find out the Nihil have that machine, everything's that, and then we also get to find out the person who made the machine is none other than Silvestri's mother. Silvestri's mom is working with the Nihil. Now we also find out that Silvestri has this friend who's on a different planet, who is the sheriff of this planet, who she had like a romantic thing with, and her friend has this leopard-like animal, which I forget the name of, but it has this cool like horn things, like antlers that conduct electricity between the tips. It's really cool. It's basically an agile taser. It's a really cool animal, super fast. I think it said it can catch up to a speeder, like the speeders in Star Wars. It was able to catch up to that. It was really cool. And the reason why she picked her up is because her friend is really good at like going with her gut. So instead of Silvestri, who has to have a plan, who has to have everything planned out before they make a move, her friend is like, no, just go with it. Because if we've seen them attack somebody, if we know everyone who has this band on their arm, this mask on their face, or this face paint is violent, why not just take them into custody? We have yet to have any report of any Nihil just being there just to be there. As soon as they show up, someone dies, something explodes, something goes wrong. So why do we have to make sure that they're there for bad reasons if we can just take them as they are? Obviously, this causes some conflict between all the characters because everyone has their own sides to things, whatever. And this is where we start seeing Cohmac be more, not necessarily balanced, be more leaning towards like, not the dark side, but he seems more of like he'd be holding a purple lightsaber, where he's known of the dark side and he's more aggressive with things, but he's not a bad person. He doesn't do it out of like malicious intent, because he has a lot of remarks where he agrees with Silvestri's friend that makes more sense than what we're doing. We're just waiting for them to hurt people. We're just waiting for them to do things. And this is where Reef gets into one of his first quote unquote arguments with Master Cohmac and is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And Imri agrees. Imri's like, this is where he calls Cohmac out, saying, you feel conflicted. Because Orla, his friend in the first book, and she shows up in this one as well, she basically gives him the idea of a way seeker. Way seeker is following the Force, and Cohmac kind of goes in between that of following the Force and listening to the Republic and following the law and following the flow of nature. Like, he's battling that throughout this book. And this is, once again, where I say that, like, Reef and Master Cohmac are just the side characters, because they still have a lot of character development. They still have a lot of good interactions with people, and they have a lot of character growth, but it's really outshined by Silvestri understanding that her mom is not a good person at all, and that her entire life has been a lie. The whole reason everything works the way that it does has been a lie. The Jedi are actually good people, because I do believe that her mom kind of instilled in her mind that Jedi are just trouble. Like, they're not bad people. They just cause trouble wherever they go. When she finds out that, like, the Jedi, yes, they cause problems because a lot of people, don't like Jedi, but they also go towards the problem to fix it. They don't always bring trouble with them. They go to the trouble to fix it. So this whole book was really good. It has a really cool plot, like, just quote-unquote plot twist, which was that. And it essentially, because that's not even the end of the book, by the way. That's like the middle of the book. So once again, going to put my hand up for the ending of the book and how things are. So once you see my hand go down, you're good. So long story short, Silvestri basically get everyone in this book. If I didn't like see the cover of the third book, I would have assumed they died, because in the halfway point of this book, they all get shot, but we don't know that they're actually like the tasering ones. We thought they were actual shots. So we find out that Pam, whatever her name is from the first one, is in this one, and she's trying to make the head of the Nihil better, or not better, but like, what's the word? She's trying to make him see her so she can go up in the ranks, right? And eventually she wants to kill him because he's not the head of the Nihil as a whole, just this faction, I believe. And we find out that there's an old woman that essentially can, like, how do I explain it? She's the reason that Silvestri's mom is so intrigued. This old woman is in like this cryo chamber thing, and she can talk, but she's in like this liquid, and she can see hyperspace lanes. Like, she can see where all the like people that are jumping into light speed hyperspace, she can see that, and it's crazy. And they're using her mind to track people, pull them out to see their next target. And there's this little ball that's in this story, that essentially this little ball has all the secrets to this, has all the secrets to her, and it's her trinket. And her only thing is, I need this ball to survive. I need this ball to be with us. Well, lo and behold, I do believe it's Silvestri, unless it's someone else. I think it is Silvestri. No, it's Silvestri's friend runs into Pam on a planet and accidentally steals it. And what I mean by accidentally is bumps into her, if I remember correctly, and as she's taking off, holding it in her hand, goes, well, I guess this is mine now. And so long, and then after that, we find out that Silvestri and her friend are going to stay together as like a couple, be happy together and make things work out. But they're still going to try to fight her mom because she denounced her family and like her parenthood, saying, I love you, but I'm not with you on this. And if I have to put you down, I will. So, that being said, right along, book number 3, Midnight Horizon. Like I said, as you can tell, each book has like something to do with like light and shadow. Obviously, Into the Dark, Out of the Shadows, Midnight Horizon. So in this one, we get to meet Ram. It was Ram, Zine, Master Comac, Cantom, Master Cantom, Reeth. So it's Reeth, Ram, Cantom, Zine, Master Comac, and then funny enough, I'm going to spoil a character that's in this. So I'm going to put my hand up. If you don't want it spoiled, my hand down. Go ahead and continue. So, Yoda is in this book, and they do him very well. The way he speaks, the way he talks, the way he acts, and just everything about him. He's probably my favorite inclusion in this book because of that fact, how they use him. And I'll get to that later on. Now, continuing on, this book is essentially dealing with new characters on Starlight after the events of knowing that there's a gravity well, there's bad things going on in the world or in the galaxy. So overall, they're trying to stop everything from happening. And I mean, like the Nihil attacks, we find out that Ram is really good with mechanics, like a really good mechanic, but he's imbued with the Force. Him, Ram, Zine. So it's him, Ram, or no, Ram is him. So Ram, Zine, and I forget her name. There's another one. Is it Dorla? He's only in here for like a couple chapters, and I forget her name. But she is, all three of them are very good friends with each other, and they are all Force imbued. They all have a friend who's a part of the Nihil because him and Zine come from like this like group of people. I believe it's like on a desert planet almost, where they don't like Force imbued people, like Force sensitive people. They think them as like evil, as tainted, as gross. So when she came out as Force sensitive by saving somebody, her friend denounced the other two friends, and was like, hey, I'm joining the Nihil because I don't like what you did, and I just have no right to live anymore. Because he was trying to force Zine to be someone she's not. Force her to act a certain way, dress a certain way, be a certain way, because that's the way they lived. But she felt that through the Force, she can do what she wants as long as she stays true to the Force, you know? So it was very cool, like, conflicting way of life between the two. And for the life of me, I cannot remember her name. Anyways, the third friend, whose name I cannot remember, she plays a part in like kind of like how Dez in the first book was really good at everything, except she's actually the top of her class at everything. So Dez was good, a little above average above everyone else. This girl specifically was the top of her class at everything. Studying, knowledge, sports. Like if she was a student in high school, she'd be good at every subject, 100%, good at every sport. She's good at every single thing she does. Because when she does something, from my understanding and the way to describe her, she puts her heart and soul into it. She doesn't just put her mind to it. She puts every piece of her being into what she's doing. Why is it showing me every name but the one I want? I will find it eventually. But long story short, this friend is here to be a driving force to make Zine a better individual. So, in this one, the boys, Ram and Reeth, are put into planet Corellia, or City Corellia, I think. The city of Corellia. And they're just there to investigate some things with Master Comac and Master Contom. Now, Master Contom is another master who is here because they obviously all the masters know each other in some way, shape, or form because they all studied with each other or came up together or they were studying under one of the other masters. So long story short, they all know each other because connections, what relationship status. But in this one, um, we see a lot of character development again, this is the one thing I really like about this book. And this book jumps between characters a lot because there's so many different characters. Out of all 3 books, this one does it the most. So it's actually done very well, which I like, where it'll go between 2 events and it'll let you know if that event is prior to the one you're about to read or after the one you just read. And sometimes it'll do it within the same chapter. Like it'll go from this is the last time I saw him, and then it'll have a break and go then, and it'll explain what they're referring to, come back, and then go through it. So it's imagine like flashbacks, essentially, is what there's a lot of in this book, and I really enjoy it. And it's the thing I like is there's not a lot of space or foreshadowing of things because there's so many characters doing so many things. So let's say like Ram is like, oh, this red rock seems really peculiar. At max, it might be like 2 chapters before another character brings up the red rock, and there's a connection between the characters and why that rock is significant. It's really cool. But as they're here, they're just trying to investigate a disappearance of 2 bodyguards. And usually the Republic wouldn't really do that much. They would be like, well, the cops can handle it or something like that. But there is a sense of nihil because there is a woman who dons a mask. And now the reason why this is such a problem is because the nihil are only known for the outer edge of the galaxy and then that inner rim of the edge. So having the nihil be so deep into the galaxy, like the center, is absolutely astonishing because that doesn't make sense to them. A lot of nihil are cowardly, like I say. There's no point in them bunkering. No point in them sitting somewhere. There's no point in them trying to make homes somewhere because they're basically nomads. They go from place to place to place to place, right? So it was really concerning. So that's what made them go there. They meet Crash. Crash owns her own bodyguard company. She understands that the people she guards. 2 of her men, Ovarto, and I forget his name, and he's a really big driving force. I really got to remember these characters' names, but he's not in the story for long. He's only in the prologue, and he is very Pribalt. So Pribalt is a guy who is part of the species of aliens that they are very well respected in Corellia because they run the underground sewers. So they run his whole family. So there's one mother, and that mother gave birth to Pribalt and his litter. So there's thousands upon thousands of these aliens underground. They can go through pipes. They swim through water fast. They are very hard trusting people. So it's hard for them to trust you, but when they do, it's for life. If you do something that shows them respect, shows them that they can trust you forever, it is literally for life. And I do believe they say it's for your kin as well. As long as your kin respect them the way you did, they'll respect and protect your family if you protect them. Now, the reason I bring this up is because Pribalt's species isn't known for being above ground. If the sun touches them, it burns them. It's not like a sizzle, it disintegrates them. And we find out that Pribalt is really good at detecting when things are off, detecting malice. And it's not because he's force sensitive, it's because he's just aware. If things aren't adding up, if something goes past the amount of time it's supposed to, he'll look into it. He's very good at investigating, very good at protecting. And he sees that the person they're protecting, Tralmat is his name, or Tralmat, I think it's Tralmat. He is a political figure who is I believe the father of finances. He's the one that basically shows the money where it goes, pushes it to where. But a lot of these politicians are corrupt, and we learn that very right off rip, very quickly. Pribalt and Ovarto are having an argument about if they should go into this place because the place is taking, this meeting that he's supposed to have is taking way too long, way too long. As he goes in there, he sees that there is a woman in a gas mask surrounded by other people in gas masks, and they're attacking Tralmat. So Pribalt does what he's supposed to, grabs him, runs. Ovarto gets shot and murdered while in this predicament, and as he's running away, he gets stabbed. And now the reason this is bad is because he has a protective suit. Now the suit keeps him moist because he needs to be wet because he's a water thing, a water species. So he needs to be wet and he needs to stay away from sunlight. And while he's having this hard time breathing, whatever, he keeps dragging Tralmat, keeps going. He gets again, and he notices it's the same woman, this Twi'lek woman. I believe they say she's Twi'lek. She has like the two red. I might be wrong. She might be not Twi'lek, but they explain that she has like these red tendrils for hair. She shows up again, and Tramak goes missing, and Pribalt's trying to find him, and he goes, "Okay, let me just get to a sewer so I can survive. If I survive, I can go back to my family. They'll heal me up. I'll be healed. I'll be fine." But the second attack, like I said, does more damage than he thinks, and he can't move. He's fading, and the sun's coming up. And as the sun touches him, his hand disappears because he's disintegrated. We don't know what happens because that's right. So, find out all this corruption's happening. All this stuff is happening. The boys get separated from Cohmac and Kantam because they went to the Jedi Temple. The Masters went to the temple to like correspond or like basically address that they're here at Corellia. The boys meet up with Crash. Crash invites them to be like, "Hey, come with me because I need your guys' help as Jedi." Long story short, she shows him the shipyards where Ram and his two Brawnback friends, they're like these little tiny aliens like this big that are really good at making things by dismantling, putting them together, and so is Ram. And Ram carries them around. They're very funny little individual creatures. They don't really speak common. They speak their language. And it's very funny. They meet Anzellan, I think is what their name is. This Anzellan person, I forget their name, but that's their species, is very good and very well known for making starships, making cruisers, making ships in general, like shipyards. Because Corellia is known for their really vast, rich shipyard industry. And Ram loses it. He's super excited. And the Brawnbacks, they speak his language and he speaks theirs, so they were able to communicate, have fun with each other, whatever. Well, real quick side tangent. We find out, I actually found this out. I didn't know if this was ever introduced or ever brought up in anything else that I've seen, read, or like watched or read. But Gorgons, or is it Gorgons? Not Gorgons. Gamorreans. I'm pretty sure those are the people like green pigs with tusks. You actually, the way you talk to them is supposed to be very vulgar and mean. You're supposed to insult them, to greet them, to tell them hello. It's very funny. So long story short, after that, Crash has them dress up as these old ancient child assassins by putting red skulls on their face and dressing in all black, and they're supposed to be silent. The reason for this is because she needs force sensitive people, or at least the Jedi, to help her to kind of like be lie detectors, kind of like how Imri was in part 2, Vernestra's Padawan. So they're there doing what they can to kind of sneak into like this place and try to figure out what's going on, figure out what's happening. And while they're there, we learn about a character named Svino. Svino is a very well-known, basically like galaxy pop artist, and her family is very, very good at fighting, from my understanding, because her family want to protect Svino, and Svino and Crash have like a relationship that's kind of like rocky. Like they're friends, but Crash doesn't trust people. Crash sees as too trusting, so there's a lot of conflict between them, but you can tell they like each other, they love each other, they want to be together, but there's so much stuff in between them that's causing this rift. And push comes to shove, a lot of bad stuff starts happening. They start finding out that the Nihil are there. There's actual Nihil there. And it's to this point before we get there that Crash has to go see her mom, who her mom gave up everything and gave it to her at the age of 13, I believe. So she was running this entire thing at the age of 13. And before she visits her mom, she is introduced to Pribalt's mother, who is the queen of all the I think they're Grandolins is what they're called. I might be wrong. That might be the wrong species. But she is the mother and head of the species of aliens that run the underground, like water systems, sewers, pipelines, trains, all that of Corellia. And she tells Crash, you have, I think it was 24 hours to find the person who took my son from me. Also, we're going to take you, because by their law, if you had a hand, or if you're the reason that one of their kids go missing, you have that much time to prove your innocence, else they make you the suspect. They make you the primary person for that, and they take your life for it, because that's how their ancient laws work. And that's what Crash agreed to, because she had to agree to the law in order to have Pribalt come in, and Pribalt had to agree to it for him to be let out. So now she has to prove herself innocent within these 24 hours. So she goes to her mom, asks her, like, what can I do? Struggling. I just feel so sad. Like, I miss my friend Pribalt, because she is very much in the idea of professionalism and it kind of sucks because she's still young, and in her eyes, professionalism is not showing tears, not showing sorrow, not showing when you're struggling. You have to be strong, this firm person. And she tries to keep her team motivated, but keep them at a distance, kind of thing, you know? Well, once the Nihil attack starts, once things start going on, we find out a lot about Master Kantam. And Master Kantam is someone who actually left the Force, and they are Yoda's protege, Yoda's Padawan. They learned under Yoda. And the reason they left is because they felt like their life wasn't going anywhere, like this wasn't leading to anything. So they fell in love. They met someone, absolutely wanted everything to do with them, spent time away from the Force. And then I think they said it was like a year or two away from the Force. Kantam came to the realization that these two, the person that they fell in love with and the only person they've ever loved, had to separate. And it's not because they hated each other. It's not because they wanted nothing to do with each other. It was just because they knew this was better for the both of them, because they got to this point in their lives where both of them agreed that Kantam needed to go back to the temple. And when they did, Yoda accepted them with open arms. And they were confused by that because they thought Yoda would be angry. No, Yoda understood that. And the way Yoda is shown in that is that in this flashback, Yoda is he's very wise, and he doesn't tell you the answers to things, because obviously how are you supposed to learn, or how are you supposed to like retain information if I just tell you everything? So when they came back, Kantam's like, wait, you knew I was going to leave, weren't you? Yoda said yes. And he did say, yes, I was sad. And he apologizes, thinking that like, oh, I'm sorry if you thought I wasn't sad that you left. I was. But as a master, I have to let those emotions go because I grew too attached. So not only did I learn from you being away from me, you learned from being away from the Force altogether. So Kantam and Cohmac, they met up with Reese and stuff, and the reason why they're the first to meet the Nihil is because after they see the ridiculous stuff that the boys are in, they're like, okay, we're going to make a plan, go through all this stuff, do whatever we need to, right? So they go do their own thing. They're investigating, stuff like that. And while they're investigating, before the Nihil attack in that sense, Reeth and Ram actually encounter this woman who is known for eating endangered species. So they set her up to almost eat another species, which is a female Braunback, which no one told Ram that's what the quote-unquote feast was. So he let the little one know, I'm here to save you if anything goes wrong. And she goes, okay, in her own language, which is Braunback. And everything goes according to plan. The little one is saved. And then we find out that there is the endangerment police, that they're basically the ones that protect all endangered species. They capture her, arrest her. They get photos of this woman. They send her, like, her face all over the news and everything like that. And throughout the story, we find out that Crash has a rival whose name I forget, because we only talk about him maybe 4 times, and that's my fault for not remembering. But he's the reason that person is there, because he basically took this contract underneath Crash's nose, like just swept it out from under her. And that's a lot of underhanded stuff they do in this place, and that's just how the politics work around here and businesses work. But long story short, after this whole thing happens, the Nihil start attacking at this this workman's place. And we learned that the red woman's name is Sabata Krill. And Sabata Krill, like, this isn't the first time we learn her name. This is the first time her name is mentioned multiple times, because we're like, yes, that's her. She is the reason why a factory blew up I think it's before the boys found Crash, like before Crash came and took the boys to like explain everything. She blew up a building, and that caused a lot of eyes to go to that area, right? To take their eyes off of what they were doing. So Cohmac and Kantam realized that all of these random workers at this shop, like at this like industry place, had a lot of unnamed workers, had a lot of workers from different planets that didn't make sense. Like, why would this species of alien be on that specific planet? Because in Star Wars, there's specific races or species of aliens that cannot survive unless it's on their planet without certain suits. So why would this person without a suit be on this planet? That doesn't make sense, right? Like, the stories don't add up. And that's when they put 2 and 2 together and they turn around. There is an entire fleet of Nihil that took over these old um old weapons, these old tanks, these it was the police department they were working in. Took over the police department, took all their weapons, everything, right? Because they found a way to make a distraction on one of Corellia's moons. So that took all the Jedi and police from the planet to leave these people, the Nihil, to take over. Well, everyone jumps into action. Everyone starts going, and we start fighting, start doing things. And Zine comes along, and I forgot about Zine. She actually captures her friend, interrogates him, and tells him, "You're gonna just be in jail for the rest of your life." She struggles with the fact that she's falling in love, and that is hard for a Jedi because love is something that you can't have as a Jedi. And she falls in love with none other than her other Padawan, whose name I can't remember. She falls in love with her, but never gets the chance to explain it because she has to go to a different planet and tells the love of her life, "Hey, you take him and you bring him to Starlight Beacon. He needs to be put in prison and interrogated more." Okay. So, long story short, she meets up with everybody. Everything starts going wrong. They start attacking. And there's a point where we find out that Trelmat is actually not dead. He hired the Nihil to be a part of everything going on. He also made a deal with the Mother Grandolid, Pribolt's mother, to let him go through the passageway, and she's completely blind to the fact that Trelmat is the reason her son is dead. So, long story short, the group's split up. Everyone's doing their own thing. We find out the Nihil are trying to take all the Starship cruisers and pretend to be the helpers, pretend to be part of the Republic, and go to Starlight Beacon to finish Starlight Beacon off, because while all this is happening, Starlight Beacon is attacked. Surprisingly attacked, and there's people dying, there's things going wrong. Starlight Beacon is at like a weird tilt because it's losing engines. And the Nihil are trying to take these ships and take them off planet and pretend to be like a rescue team just to finish off Starlight Beacon and kill off basically the Jedi's hope of being the light within. Well, some characters die. It's not a lot of important characters, in my opinion. There's kind of like side characters that showed up for a chapter or two, and they really did, like, they're part of Crash's crew. I do believe some of them died. I think it was 2. But we learn a lot about Zine's struggle with the love holding her back, and she was trying to run from her emotions. She basically said, "I want to help my friends, make sure they're safe, and take." Because Zine is not a Padawan. I say her fellow Padawan because the way they describe it is she's around these Padawans, but she doesn't do Padawan things. She's just allowed to stay there because she's force sensitive. So while she's following Trelmat with Crash, she sends out a message to the love of her life saying that she loves her, everything like that. Turns it off, turns her calmly completely off. It says if she reads it, she reads it, and hopefully it doesn't change anything, but it probably will. Her and Crash get into the underground. They're chasing the Nihil, and they are confronted by 4 of Pribolt's siblings. And basically, Crash is like, "Oh, we're going to die here. Like, we're just going to die." Because Crash has a teammate named Smeemarm. I forgot what alien they are, but they can go through pipelines, cracks in walls. Like, they're basically like an octopus or squid-like thing. And they're helping Crash navigate through the systems because they can jump ahead, come back, or like through the comm link explain. But the 4 Grandolids actually agree with Crash, saying that their mother is blind to what's going on. They believe Crash more than they believe this guy, because this guy's acting shady. This guy's acting weird. This guy doesn't just express himself like Crash does. So they help Crash basically get to him, find him, and when Crash and Zine finally get to a certain point where they have to break off because Zine isn't needed at the shipyard, Crash gets to the point where she gets rid of all the other Nihil. She gets to Trelmat, and before she's able to deliver the final blow of Trelmat, she gets him to reveal that he's the reason that Trelmat is the reason that Pribolt died, Ovarto died, and he's the reason the Nihil are here. And with that being said, he thinks he's going to get away, but I think it's Fostima, her name. Remembered, Mother Fostima shows up, Pribolt's mother, and her 4 kids appear. And she goes, "Did you just say you killed my son?" "Well, I didn't directly kill him, but you told them to kill my son, correct?" Says yes. Bites off his head while her four children bite off each one of his appendages, and they rip him apart over this bridge and eat him whole. The Mother Fostima apologizes, and she pardons Crash and thanks her for doing what she said she was going to do by finding the person who is the reason for her, the death of her son. So after all this is said and done, Crash asks, "Hey, can I have another favor? I need help getting to shipyard." Now, cutting back to the shipyard, everything's going obviously not good because the masters Kantam and Komak have rallied Crash's team, rallied people of Corellia, excuse me, with the help of Crash, of other people who are like freelancers, other people who are bodyguards to help fight the Nihil back. Because even a single ship gets off the planet, Starlight Beacon will be gone. So they are fighting like cheek and tongue. They're all getting blasted up. Komak's barely awake. Kantam has a bunch of what are they called? Like not gashes, but they've been hit by bullets, like the laser fire. But like they've been dodging it, getting out of the way. They're tired. Everyone's beaten up. Reef is manhandled. Like he's beaten the hell up. He's barely awake. Ram puts him on a ship inside of basically like a utility closet, but it's like a sideways one, horizontal. So he pushes him into it and says, just stay here. And as they're trying to defend the last ship, because they were able to dismantle a lot of the ships so the Nihil can't take them, they find out that one of the ships went up. So Ram goes, I got this. And he jumps into an old school ship. And we actually find out that his force is so imbued with machines that he can essentially sense that they're quote unquote alive, even though they're not. We see this with, he gets so anxious that he starts blowing up people's comm links, because we find out the way that Trailmat made the Nihil come in is he proposed this idea to throw a party with all the rich people, all the higher ups, but you dress up as Nihil to make fun of them. Well, Ram reveals that his people were killed on his planet by the Nihil, and it made him so mad that these people were dressing up as them, making fun of the Nihil, making like, oh, look at us, we're so safe, to the point where he thinks to himself, I wish all their comm links would just blow up. Every single comm link exploded. It didn't hurt anybody, it just went on the fritz. And Reith finds out that he's the reason for that. Jump forward, he's able to start an engine and start up this old ancient starship or like cruiser that has a drill bit as like the head, because it's known for speed and destruction. He's able to make that come to life, and he does it by using the force, turning it on, doing everything he needs to. He gets up, goes into atmosphere to get to that ship. He tears through that ship. Like he's flying through it with this drill bit, and he actually lodges it kind of towards the bridge of it and uses it to turn the big cruiser around and start dive bombing back down, because there's another ship coming up. Funny enough, that ship coming up is the ship that Reith has, like that he's stuck in. So he feels the ship take off, whatever, and he starts freaking out. So he comes out, he's barely awake, and funny enough, Sabata Krill, the woman who killed Prybal, the woman who's she's the main target of all this, is the one piloting the ship, and he can't take on these 6 to 10 Nihil by him. So he just like, well, yeah, whatever. His lightsaber on the floor. He goes, I'm just gonna take it because I can't fight anymore. I can't do anything. Well, he sees a specific someone dive bombing with a ship coming towards them, and overall, this is probably one of the funniest interactions in the whole story, even though it's not supposed to be funny. He sees what looks like to be Ram in a ship, inside a ship, piloting it to hit them. So Reith uses the rest of the force that he has to push all the Nihil forward and take off running. And the reason for that is because that ship is about to go head to head and slowly start colliding. So Reith jumps out that ship. Ram ends up saving him. Everything goes right, but they're okay up there in space, like in the atmosphere. Down on the ground, they're getting overran. Kantam's getting overran with Komak and everyone else. Crash shows up. Everything's going to hell. They're pushed back into the last ship. And these 2 ships that went up got taken down. There's one more ship that, as it's taking off, Kantam says, I need everyone's help. So Zine and Komak surround Kantam to try to help them focus. So they're deflecting blaster fire, all this, while Kantam is trying to pull the ship down or at least steer it off, right? Well, Kantam is struggling because they are having difficulties letting go of their Padawan, which is the love interest of Zine. And once they found out that Starlight was being attacked, they all have this sinking feeling that a lot of their friends and loved ones are dead. So that is weighing on their conscience heavy. And eventually they feel the entire ship go limp. Like the entire cruiser that they're trying to stop with the force is weightless now. It doesn't have weight to it. Kantam knew exactly, wait a minute, because they had a flashback earlier on when this one animal that they were taking care of at this place was having babies. and was acting sporadic. It was a heavy creature, and Kantam was struggling with it. And or not Kantam, Yoda was struggling with it. And Kantam helped Yoda have the animal feel weightless because they had help, because Yoda was thinking too much, overthinking things. And he learned from a young Kantam it's okay to, let go. So Kantam looks around and sees a little hooded figure, green lightsaber extend, because in this, Yoda went missing. We don't know what happened. All we know is that the Nihil have a new weapon that disintegrates you. Just on the spot, gone. And we don't know what happened to Yoda. No one can sense him. No one can feel him. They don't know what's going on. He appears at the end and just starts helping. He starts being an absolute unit. Like, the way they describe him is just a powerhouse. He was able to, like, they said with a simple flick of his wrist, he pushed away, like, a portion of this brigade of reinforcements of the Nihil. He also grabbed that cruiser full of Nihil and threw it at the reinforcements, taking out like 80% of them. He was just overall insane. And then I think this is where we get to see his effect of his force ability, where he inspires those around him. All the people who were beat up, felt like they were going to die, didn't have anything to live for, started feeling inspired, started feeling like, hey, if I'm going to die, I'm going to fight. I'm going to die fighting, like, do good, right? They end up deflecting everything, getting everyone back. And once again, put my hand up. Once my hand goes down, spoiler's over. They end up defeating everyone. Once they're done, they go back to Crash's mom, and they get all bandaged up. They get all helped out, everything like that. And we find out that everyone is going through despair. They're crying. They're upset. And then Wreath finally explodes with anger, confusion, everything, because they decide that they're not going to do anything to go back and like retaliate against Starlight, because Starlight is lost, and that makes Wreath mad. And then we find out that Kantam, Yoda, and Cohmac agree that Wreath is now a Jedi Knight, that he is no longer a Padawan, that he is a Jedi Knight. So they all agree. They go through the ceremony to help him get to a Jedi Knight, and then Cohmac takes off his Padawan braid and leaves him his lightsaber. And Wreath is like, what is this? And Cohmac says, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot be a Jedi, not because I am scared, because I do not have. He takes off into the night, and Kantam kind of, is a little upset with him, because we also find out that his friend Orla, the Wayseeker, has died on Starlight defending, and that kind of threw him into a loop where he can't balance anymore, can't keep going, so he leaves. And Zine then makes the decision to become a Jedi by becoming a Padawan, accepting the ways of the Force, and going to look for her love interest, because she does not believe that she is dead, because she's only missing, presumed dead, right? All that happens, and then Ram is accepting himself as who he is, that his ability to be able to use the Force to manipulate machines is more beneficial than he is more beneficial to himself. He's very good with himself. He's accepted himself and all of his flaws. Really good. Overall, I really enjoyed all three of these books. Each one has its thing that grasped me the most. Obviously, part one is the one that had Drengir, the enemy, the main antagonist of this, is what caught me. Part two was more sciencey part of everything, how this new weapon works, how hyperspace is supposed to work, why it's not working the way it's supposed to, these different ships disappearing, things going wrong. It's such a cool way. And then the more in depth of the Nihil, of them explaining this old woman who has the ability to like see the hyperspace lanes. It's insane. And then this one was character development to a T. There is so much good stuff that happens in here that I very much enjoyed it. I do apologize that this was like an hour long, but I just wanted to express how much I love these books. Overall, I think my favorite one, if I had to be honest, is probably this first one, because it was such a cool thing to get into. Was, like I said, it was a breath of fresh air. The Drengir being these dangerous entities that can eat the Force, and such a dangerous thing that the ancient Sith had to put them away. Absolutely just chokeholded me as a person. If I had to rank them, I'd say number one's my favorite. Number three would be there. Then probably number two would be my least favorite. Not that I hate it, it's just that the other ones outshine this one, but this one is still a solid read. Because overall, if I had to rank them, number one, obviously, I would say did a really good foundation of. I didn't really have a lot of questions. I'd say this is a 10 out of 10. Uh, really did really well. I really liked it. Out of the Shadows, I would say kind of is more of a, I'm being honest, an 8 out of 10 because there is a lot of stuff. This is when they started playing more into Wreath and Comac being side characters. So even though this is supposed to be the trilogy of Wreath and Comac, it kind of left you wanting to read more about the other characters as continuing this trilogy. And I feel like that kind of threw me off, but at the same time got me interested. That's why I didn't give it a higher rating, just an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Midnight Horizon, I would say is 9 out of 10 because it gave us a lot of info. It gave us a lot of character development, gave us a lot of good battle scenes, gave us a lot of in-depth reasonings to Corellia, the way that works. Jedi work like more in-depth with the Force and everything else, and you get to see a lot of abilities come out and actually like be used more in tune with what's going on as to just being, oh, this is something they can do. No, this is something they can do that can benefit them in the area that they're specifically in, which is cool. The only thing I think that really doesn't make me want to give this a 10 is Comac, because I feel like there might be other stories, once again, that other books I have to read that involve him that explain more about what's going on, unless they're coming out with the book specifically for him, because there's a lot of questions I have about him after reading these three, where he feels more like a Mace Windu kind of character, because he seems like he's leaning towards Wayseeker. And I think that's might be what he's doing now, is that he might become a Wayseeker, where he kind of gets rid of the temple and just follows the Force, because he struggled a lot with like these random aggression bursts where he's like, oh, we should just kill him outright. Well, that's not like you. Oh, don't, like, he will yell at people. And he's like, oh, my bad. Overall, that I can't really control that. I need to find a better way of doing it. Like, he has these anger issues, which is weird because he's a master, which means he should have, had that already under wraps and but he's aggressive so much. And I think it's because he is dealing with not only the losing faith in the Republic, but also losing his friend Orla. And he didn't love her. Like, he makes that clear that he didn't love her. It's a bond of familiarity. It's a bond of friendship, brother and sisterhood, sibling, essentially. And so I'm really excited to see what happens with his character. I don't know if they'll continue with Wreath, because I don't think his story is over at all, but I don't know what they're going to do with him. If this is just the end of this part of his story and he's going to show up in other books. But overall, if I had to give this an overall ranking, I'd probably give it like a 9, solid 9 out of 10. Because like I said, there's some questions, there's some things that kind of make it feel like you want to learn more about other characters than others. And it doesn't focus a lot on the main characters, which at first I thought was weird, but it really did a really good job at doing that, of like meshing the characters together and putting the main characters aside to learn about their side characters more, and then bringing the main characters back in to be the centerpiece towards the end. Feel like the I forget the word of it, but like the climax of everything. And overall, like I said, 9 out of 10. Really enjoyed this. If you guys like reading Star Wars and you want to read more Star Wars, I really highly recommend these ones because of the character development, because of the lore, because of everything about them was really fascinating reads. Every book has its own flaws. But like I said, it starts off, it sets the foundation really solid, in my opinion. That's why that first book, 10 out of 10. Second book, 8 out of 10. Not because I hate it or anything, it's just because, like I said, it focuses really much on the side characters a lot. And I guess that could just be my opinion on it, because I just think it's weird that you're doing that with a trilogy of books, that you keep pushing the main character's way. Third one, solid 9 out of 10, because there's more questions about Comac that I want to learn about, but I guess it does play kind of like into the second one, except this one is more leaning on the main character sides to the book 2, which is the side character. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I thoroughly appreciate it. I'll be doing a lot more book reviews on other books that I've read, that I've completed, and overall just thought it'd be a good idea to make these. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.